Hello everyone, welcome to the video, Salt here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the melee weapon, the Nikana Prime. Now in this weapon series, I take a weapon, I build it out, and I test that weapon on its own merits, meaning I don't mix it with any kind of external factors that would increase weapon performance. That would be things like Warframe abilities, pets putting statuses on enemies, things like that. Now the only difference when I do a melee video is that I do mix it with one external factor, and that is a pet doing statuses on enemies. Just because most melee weapons in the game, almost all of them minus a few, are going to use a mod called Condition Overload, which to actually have it work appropriately, you need to be priming for. So I use a pet to prime. That way you can actually see what the weapon would normally be doing, because normally you will be using Condition Overload. So for me to show the video without a primer would be kind of disingenuous to how the weapon should feel. Okay, so let's get into the Nikana here. So it's a one-handed Nikana. Really super nice looking weapon. I think it's very popular because of that. I mean, it's very powerful as well, but I think it's almost more popular because of its look than its power. So, okay. Interesting things about the Nikana Prime is going to be that it has the highest crit chance and crit multiplier of all of the single-handed Nikanas. And it has a gigantic slash value, like way, way more than puncture impact. You're almost never going to see puncture impact on your statuses. It's going to be slash almost every time. Okay. So let's get into the build here. So, actually, before we explain the build, I kind of want to go over the heavy attack, because the heavy attack is going to be one of the reasons why we're a little bit different on this build than we are on some other melee weapons that we've gone over before. So, I usually do not use both sacrificial mods, because using both sacrificial mods usually requires an umbral forma, one umbral forma, to fit everything. But on a weapon that has a bad or weird heavy attack, you can sacrifice some of your Tennokai capacity. If you look here, I only have a 2 tick opportunities reach instead of a 3 tick. So you can sacrifice some of your Tennokai capacity to be able to fit sacrificial pressure. Now, the Nikana does not have a weak heavy attack. It's actually quite strong, but it has a weird heavy attack. You kind of do like a lunge forward and you attack things in front of you, but you will frequently miss the target that's right in front of your face. Like you almost lunge past like what's directly in front of you, and then you start, slashing. And because of that, I think Opportunities Reach is the best option here, because Opportunities Reach is going to limit how many heavy attacks you get, and you have a longer time to press that heavy attack button, so you can actually position yourself better when you do those heavy attacks. Because if you're just able to spam heavy attacks, that's great, but you're going to be missing a lot of your targets because you're going to be zooming past them. So instead, when your Tennokai comes up, you have more time to kind of think about where you might want a heavy attack. Again, it's not because the Nikana heavy attack is bad. It's actually very good. It's just weird in the way it works. So for this reason, we're going to go with a 2-tick Opportunities Reach, and that will allow us to put sacrificial pressure on. Sacrificial pressure is usually the best option in this slot. This slot, there are mods that compete for it. Usually the best single target mod is Carnus Mandible. But in Sacrificial Pressure's case here, it is better at single target, because Sacrificial Pressure doesn't just give you 137.5 melee damage, it gives you 137.5 melee damage and 55 crit chance, because it adds to Sacrificial Steel's 220. So it makes Sacrificial Steel go up to a 275. So Sacrificial Pressure will beat out Carnus Mandible in single target damage here. Carnus Mandible is still good, though. If you didn't want to go for the Opportunities Reach, you could always try Carnus Mandible for the single target. For multi-target, Primed Reach is usually the one that you go for in this slot. So it's usually Carnus Mandible, Primed Reach, or regular primed pressure point. Primed reach is really good on this weapon because it has kind of a lower range of 2.5, so it just, kicks it out a bit further. So primed reach is your best multi-target option. Cornus mandible is usually your best single-target option, but in this case, sacrificial pressure is. And primed pressure point is your insurance option. It's your insurance option that when Dirija goes down and he's not priming for you, your weapon doesn't automatically feel like ass because your condition overload's not really working anymore. But we kind of have both of best worlds here now, where we have the insurance because we have flat damage from sacrificial pressure point, and we get more single target. I mean, it's also multi-target damage with more crit chance. Primed Reach remains a really good pick, though, over that. If you used Primed Reach instead of Sacrificial Pressure, and you formed this slot with a regular form and not an Umbral, you could go with a full Tennokai mod. So, I think your best options for this slot right here, you would go with exactly what I have if you want to go with Sacrificial Pressure, or you would put Primed Reach over here, and then you're able to go with a full mod. I would probably still pick Opportunities Reach, though. So, okay. That's enough over one mod slot. Next mod is going to be Sacrificial Steel for crit chance. Organ Shatter for crit damage. Gladiator Might for more crit damage, and a little bit of melee critical chance per combo multiplier. Condition Overload is a gigantic melee damage increase. But it's so it's 80% melee damage per unique status on the target. So, you know, if you have 2 unique statuses, maybe like Heat and Electric, that's going to be 160. Or, you know, it can go up from there. Like our Dirija Primer. I've done a video on my Dirija. I'm not going to show it here just because I've already done a video on it. But he's going to apply 6 to 8 statuses consistently to enemies all around us. So 6 to 8 statuses times 80 is quite a bit of flat damage. Berserker Fury is going to be our attack speed mod. Going to give us 70% attack speed. Blood Rush is going to give us critical chance, stacking with combo multiplier. Weeping Wounds is going to give us status chance, stacking with combo multiplier. And we'll go to the two top ones here. I'm going to be using Blind Justice. Now, before I actually start the gameplay, I'm going to go over all of the stances, because stances are a little bit personal preference. You have to kind of like how the moveset is. Blind Justice tends to hit a little bit quicker, though, so that's why a lot of people seem to say it's the best. I really like, there's another one, Decisive something. What is it called here? Decisive Judgment. I really like Decisive Judgment, too. I kind of go back and forth whether I like Blind Justice or Decisive Judgment. But I'll show all the movesets before we get to the gameplay. And then Opportunities Reach, I already went over that. This is going to increase the time that you can press your Tennokai when it becomes available. So for weapons, I actually did another weapon recently that would super benefit from this. It's the Eden Lance, or Polearm. I don't know exactly. I think it's a Polearm. It's heavy attack. It throws a spear. So, like, you don't want to have to throw a spear every, like, second and a half. So, Opportunities Reach is good for that weapon, too. So, like, weird heavy attacks or weak heavy attacks, that's where Opportunities Reach kind of shines. All right. And then melee exposure. So, usually, the best elements on your melee weapon are going to be viral or corrosive. But to put viral or corrosive on your weapon requires 2 mod slots. We would have to find 2 places to put 2 of those element mods. Well, with melee exposure, you get to have it all in one spot. So you get corrosive damage. It stacks up to 240%. You do have to cast an ability every 25 seconds. So the only condition on this is that you have to be playing a Warframe that wants to press a button every 25 seconds. I feel like that's most Warframes, but there might be some Warframes out there that have really high duration abilities, so maybe this wouldn't be for them. But most Warframes will be able to make use of melee exposure. So, and that's it for the Nikana main. Now, when I do these melee videos, I also show a secondary build. So the main build is if you want the Nikana to be your primary damage source. You're just running around slashing things with the Nikana. Well, what if you're a ranged player? What if you're a ranged player and the only time you take your melee out is when you really need it? Maybe you're out of ammo. Maybe you have Mania, the Acolyte Mania in front of you that can't be shot when he has Zephyr's Turbulence up. So you have to switch to melee. So you still, even as a ranged player, you still want to have a strong melee weapon built out. but you're going to build it differently. And it's because of a few things. So we look at these two on the bottom here are the big ones. So Blood Rush and Weeping Wounds have these things where they need to stack with combo multiplier. When you're a ranged player and you just whip your melee out, you're going to be at 0 combo multiplier. So these aren't going to be effective for a ranged player. Berserker Fury needs to stack with 2 kills. If all that's in front of your face is Mania, you're going to be at 0 stack. So you're not going to have any melee increase there, melee attack speed increase. And the same thing with melee exposure. Melee exposure, you need to be casting abilities with your ranged weapon out, and you get those corrosive stacks. Well, you're just going to be switching to your melee weapon, so you're going to be at 0 stacks there. So you need to have an arcane that just works. So let's go to the secondary build, and it's going to be those 4 things that are going to change. Everything remains the same except for those 4 things. Okay, so because we're not using melee exposure, we don't have corrosive or viral on the weapon. So we actually need to use 2 of our mod slots to put corrosive or viral. With this weapon, with the Nikana, you could choose both. You can go corrosive or viral. I know on the main we go corrosive because that's what the arcane puts on our weapon. But on the secondary build, consider putting viral on because viral is really good with that heavy slash. So for the range focus build, you can either go viral or corrosive here. I put viral on this one. So you're going to use the 60/60s to put viral. In the attack speed slot that before it was Berserker Fury, you're going to need an attack speed mod that just works without conditionals. Primed Fury is 55 attack speed with no strings attached, but it's a login reward. So a lot of people probably won't have Primed Fury, and I'll show you the other option here. Quickening. So if you don't have Primed Fury, because this is a login reward, it's hard to get, use Quickening. Quickening is going to give you 40% attack speed with no strings attached, which is perfect. Gives you a little bit of combo count chance, but as a ranged player where you're just whipping this weapon out, you don't really care too much about that. And then for the arcane, again, we just need an arcane that works. We need an arcane that doesn't really have much strings attached. So with melee animosity, once you start whacking whatever's in front of you, you're going to be building up these critical chance stacks. And then when it tells you to Tennokai, you kind of expend them all into a huge critical chance on your Tennokai attack. So that's how that works. And that's how you would build this for ranged. The other difference with the ranged build is you can use Sacrificial Pressure and Sacrificial Steel and actually be able to fit a fully ranked Opportunities Reach because these 2 mods down here are cheaper. So you can use a full Opportunities Reach on this one. Or you can keep the same one. If you only have 1 Opportunities Reach, you could just keep it like 2 ticked. It's good enough there. All right, so because this is a melee video, though, I want to show the Nikana Prime in its full glory. So we're going to be using the main. Now, before we start this, I do want to show the stances, because I know some people are going to be interested with the stances. So you got 3 different ones. You have Blind Justice, Decisive Judgment, and Tranquil Cleave. So we're going to start with Blind Justice first. So I'm going to start with the forward light. All right, I like that. A lot of swirly attacks. I love swirly attacks because they hit multiple enemies. Now we're going to do the neutral light, which is not pressing your W key, so you're not moving forward. You're just holding E. That's okay. It has some attacks that are only forward. Now we're going to do the block forward, so the forward block attack. It's okay. It ends in a big slam. It's a little bit weird, but it does end in a slam, which is kind of cool. And then we're going to do the neutral block, which is not moving forward, blocking, and pressing E. That's all right. Okay. Let's try Decisive Judgment out next. This is the Decisive Judgment is the one I really like. I go back and forth between Decisive Judgment and Blind Justice. Alrighty, Decisive Judgment. We'll do the same thing. We're going to start with the forward light, the one that you'll probably be spamming more often than not. I really like that because there's wide sweeping attacks. It's just not very quick. You know, it's kind of stop, go, and you're not moving forward very quickly. All right, let's try the neutral light, which is not pressing W. Weirdly, the neutral light actually almost moves forward quicker than the forward light, which I think is kind of weird. But All right, now we're going to do the forward block. All right, now we're going to do the neutral block, which is blocking and pressing E without pressing W. All right. And then lastly, we'll check out, this is the one that everyone kind of is in agreement is the weakest one, Tranquil Cleave. Like on forums, Blind Justice and Decisive Judgment are like the two top ones. People usually like Blind Judgment way better, but I mean there are a lot of people that really like Decisive Judgment. But pretty much everyone says Tranquil Cleave is the worst, but I kind of like the forward light on Tranquil Cleave. I think it's the forward light I like. We'll see. Okay. Forward light. Yeah, I think the forward light's not too bad. It's wide sweeping attacks, which is why I actually kind of like the forward light on Tranquil Cleave. I think it was everything else about Tranquil Cleave I didn't like. So let's do the neutral light, so not pressing W. Yeah, this is like forward stabs. That would be good if it's just the Acolyte. If it's just the Acolyte in front of your face, you could just stab him. But otherwise, maybe not the best for trash. Okay, forward block. Yep. Kind of weird. I like the sweeps, but that first like lunge I don't really like too much. And then the block neutral, so not pressing W. That's super weird. I really don't like that one. It's just the same attack over and over. Okay, so those are the three stances there. Personally, I like the first two. I kind of like Decisive Judgment the best, but I'm going to go with Blind Justice because I think this is the one that is easiest to get, and this is the one that a lot of people say is the best because you attack quicker with it. So possibility of more statuses and stuff. So okay, so I'm going to be doing the video with Blind Justice on, and on the main build, let me stop running my mouth and go back to Orbiter so we can start this here. We'll do a 10-minute Steel Path Kuba Survival, show how this weapon does. And that'll give us a good look. I'm going to make sure I'm on the right build here. So again, because I'm not mixing this with anything except for a primer pet, I'm going to be doing this on a Big Dumb Inaros with no Archon shards that increase weapon performance. No mods on the Inaros or Arcanes on the Inaros that increase weapon performance. And with a primer pet there. My little Dorija. Okay, I think that is everything. I think I'm ready to go. Solo. There's Kuba Fortress. Kuba Fortress always moves, so I hate I hate looking for that stupid thing. I want to give a little shout out to someone called Cat Purr. I bought my Opportunities Reach from Cat Purr because I only had a maxed out one, and to make the main build, I needed a 2-tick one. So I had to get it from him. All right. So the only button I'll be pressing, or only two buttons I'll be pressing during this, are my 3 once in a while to give me armor and status immunity. And my 1 button, I have put a really just dumb ability that I can press every 25 seconds to keep melee exposure stacked. It's just infested mobility. It doesn't do anything except make me move slightly faster. And it does nothing. It doesn't even have an animation to cast it, so it's perfect for just keeping melee exposure stacked. Just to show off the weapon in this video, just because I don't want to use actually Inaros' damaging abilities and affect the actual gameplay. So, okay. Let's have these little guys come out here. Yeah, this is a super powerful weapon. And it looks really cool too. I think that's one of the reasons why it's so popular. Is I mean it is very powerful, but I feel like it's just the look, it's the little katana in the game. Now there's a little bit of a combo wombo interaction you can do with Nikanas, where you use the Daiku as your primary, and you can give your Nikana lifesteal. You have to have the amalgam mod for your Daiku. So you have to have the, I forgot exactly what it's called, but it's an amalgam Daiku mod. And so your Daiku almost becomes like a little stat stick for your Nikana. So, you know, you'd have to be willing to not really want to use a primary weapon, like if it's just a melee build. But you can, you know, add lifesteal to your Nikana by just using the Daiku. It's really good. Maybe you're playing a melee frame that needs a little bit of health, and bam, you got it. You don't even have to do a subsume for it. I also find the heavy attack on this is so weird, though. Sometimes it won't lunge forward, and it'll be like a nice, easy-to-use heavy attack, and then sometimes it'll lunge forward. So I don't know, and I've tried to test to see, is it different when I press W, or, you know, when I'm not pressing W? And it's not. It's just kind of, I don't know if the terrain blocks you sometimes, and so sometimes you don't lunge forward, and maybe that's what it is. Like there, right there, I didn't lunge forward. Super weird. It's a strong attack, though. It's very, very strong. It's just weird how it works. Yes, I had to get a 2-tick opportunities reach, and I had 2 full opportunities reaches. So I found him on Warframe Market because he was selling it, and I was like, I have a weird request. I was like, can I trade you one of my full ones for one of your unranked ones? He's like, sure, I got a bunch of them. And he actually gave me 6 unranked opportunities reaches for a single full one, and we didn't do plat trade. I would have, though, if he wanted plat, I would have did plat instead. All right, we have the acolytes somewhere. He's lost in the sauce. Is that him or? Or is that him at 23? Is that him there? Yep. He's dead. Like 3 or 4 hits there. That wasn't even the Tennokai attack either. I think the Tennokai attack probably would have killed him in 1. Something also to note about opportunities reach that maybe I didn't really explain, because I think I was just saying that it limits it to, like, you know, it limits the amount of times it's going to be coming up because you're able to kind of hold it for longer. But the other thing you get is more range. You get more range on your Tennokai attack too. So it's not like it's just a neutering of it. It is still a net positive. It just also lets you have more time to decide where you want to Tennokai instead of having to spam it immediately. Dreamer's, I think it's called Dreamer's Wrath. It's the gold one I usually use. Dreamer's Wrath is usually the best one for DPS. But for weapons, I feel like weapons that have bad or weird heavy attacks, the one that gives you a little bit more time to choose where you want to cast it is usually better. We're about halfway. We'll, like right there, I tried to heavy attack the guy and flew past him. Again, I flew past that guy. And again, see, it's like it's the worst when you have a single target in front of you because you're gonna like dive past him a lot of times. For multi-targets, it's not bad because if you dive past the first guy, like you can still hit the dudes behind him. The slash procs you get on this thing are gigantic, though. They're crazy. So on my ranged builds, I usually do a 10-minute Kuba Survival, and I do a 10-minute Lua Conjunction. But on melee builds, I just do the Kuba Survival, just because melee builds, you know, you just run around holding E. It's not like it's super engaging. But I give a little like view on how the weapon would look and how it's going to perform. I'm going to try to mix in some of the other type of attacks too. Let's do some of the block attacks here. Well, it's the neutral block, I forgot. Oh, it's this one here. Yeah, Mania is the one. He normally has Zephyr's Shield. Zephyr's Turbulence, I should say. So if you have a ranged weapon that is not AoE, and if the AoE is not large enough, it won't hit him. The only thing that'll hit through Zephyr's Turbulence is like super large AoE weapons, like with large AoE ranges, or melee. That's why for a ranged build, you still want a built-out melee weapon. I'm gonna hit one more life support, and then I'm gonna head back to that group and try to farm some more kills. Just because we're getting a little bit low here. I hate this room. I hate this room so much. Or this tile set, I should say. Get me out of here. I don't want to fight in this tile set. I want to fight back there. I don't think the ridge has gone down yet. That's pretty good. That's why sometimes Prime Pressure Point, or, I mean, we're using Sacrificial Pressure not necessarily because it's like Prime Pressure Point, but because it also increases the crit chance. But the reason Prime Pressure Point is sometimes an option is because it's like your insurance mod. When Dirija goes down, Condition Overload's not really working to its full effect anymore. And so sometimes your weapon goes from feeling godly to feeling like hitting enemies with pool noodles. So Prime Pressure Point is sometimes an option as a insurance mod. Insurance for when Dirija goes down. But on this weapon, if we didn't have the 2 Umbral combo wombo with the Sacrificial set, I'd probably say Reach might be the best just for more range. And I still think it's very competitive with the 2 Umbral set. I think it could be better than the 2 Umbral mod set for a multi-target build. Single target build, no. Multi-target build, yes, possibly. Almost 10 minutes. Let's see. 589 kills. It's really good. Let's head to Extraction. Yeah, it's a really powerful weapon. A very powerful single-target weapon and multi-target. You know, could even be better at multi-target if you decide to use Prime Reach. So they're both valid options. Just remember, with the Prime Reach setup, you would form that slot, and then you can actually fit a large Tennokai mod in instead of like a 2-tick one. But if you want single-target damage, this would be the best setup. Multi-target, it's kind of questionable, you know. This will do more damage to the multi-targets that are hit, but Prime Reach will let you hit more targets if there are more targets outside of that range. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys probably understand that. Alrighty, that was the Nikana Prime. Super nice weapon. Definitely worth building out. And it looks friggin' awesome. It's got so many skins, too. Oh my goodness. Let me just show real quick. If I go to skins, look at all these friggin' skins for the Nikana. I mean, you could tell that people love this weapon. They probably, you know, have requested more and more skins. That's a pretty cool skin. And it's going to be like a skin showcase now. That's cool. That's like a little corpus skin, kind of. That's weird. Minos. That one. That's a weird one. That doesn't even look like a Nikana. Oh, I guess that's the sheath, though. Yeah, the sheath. Yeah. That is the Nikana. If you liked the video, guys, go ahead and give it a like, if you would. And if you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. And thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.